Engine 1 from car 1. Car 1's on scene. If they've been command, give me a CAN report.
What's going on, everybody? This is Mike Goldstein, Stickers of the C.A.N. Report. Nozzle Tov, everybody. I have a fantastic guest tonight. I have Candice Ashby. I'm so excited. I am pumped to have her, and we're going to be talking about pretty much anything and everything. And I know a lot of people know who you are, but you know what? I still love talking to you, and I want people to hear a good message, that the one that I preach a lot about leadership, about treating people right, and we're going to do that today. So, Candice Ashby, Chief, Doctor, thank you so much for being on the C.A.N. Report.
Well, thank you very much for the invite. I'm excited to be here. And before we start, I just have to put out a disclaimer that says my opinions are mine and not that of my employer. So other than that, we are ready to go.
Love it. Hey, ditto for me too. It's just me. It's my thoughts. So
Yeah.
with that being said, I just want to give a quick shout out to the people that helped me along. The Engine House Designs, LLC. They do a lot of good stuff. He's a working firefighter out of Memphis, Tennessee. He makes chore coats. He makes hats. He makes flags, stickers, all the stuff that we love as firefighters. He's one of my sponsors. I appreciate him very much. So if you're looking for new gear for your department, your union, your own business, reach out to Engine House Designs, LLC. He has a fantastic shop and he does quality work. He's also partnered up with the Kitchen Table Foundation. They're out of Arkansas. It's a nonprofit organization helping with first responders and military and vets to get help that they need, especially for mental health requirements. So if you ever need help, look out for the Kitchen Table Foundation. They have a great message. They're spreading a lot of positivity, and they're helping others get the help that they need in life. So make sure you reach out to both of them. Engine House Designs is providing all their swag and stickers and coats and everything else. Check them out. They're both online. Engine House Designs, igniting the pride. So with that being said, that's it. That's all I have. So we're going to get into you, Candice. For a brief synopsis, can you tell people who you are?
Well, I'm nobody special, that's for sure. I've been in the fire service for 40 years. That's hard for me to say and believe because I still feel young at heart. But that's actually starting out with volunteer time and things. Career-wise, I've got 35 complete, and I'm in my 36th year right
Wow.
now. I'm a battalion chief at Indianapolis Fire Department, and I'm Battalion 1 on the B shift. I have 7 stations, 60 firefighters, 15 officers under my command. I have another captain. We have drivers. The battalion chiefs do. We call them executive officers. So I have one of the best XOs there is on the job. We have a blast. People always ask me today, probably because I'm on the older end now, when am I going to retire? And I tell them, are you kidding me? 35 years is just a warm-up. I want another 35 years in the fire service because I love it more today than I've ever loved it. And I honestly believe we have the best job in the entire world. And what bothers me more than anything is I believe the majority of firemen believe that too, but then I ask people all the time, how many people with over 20, 25 years on the job have you ever said want to do another 20 or 25 years? And then I hear silence. I'm like, why is that? I mean, it is truly the best job in the world. I couldn't imagine doing anything else in my life. So I have a blast.
So with that, what is the answer? When you ask that, like, why don't you want to do another 25 years? What do they usually say?
They don't. They don't say anything. But I've watched it my entire career. And what's sad is I believe people put in a full career and they go on and they want to, do something else with their life, whether it's travel or be with family or whatever. But they leave in such a way that they don't love it as much as they did the day that they joined. And that breaks my heart. And it's because of the toxicity and the people that got promoted that should have never got promoted, and they got put in positions to beat these guys to the point that they're just like, it's time to go. And a lot of retirees have said, and I believe it to be true, you'll just know when it's time. And there's a lot of things that happen day to day in organizations that we have to fight the adversity. We have to fight and we have to embrace the suck. But when we're in that moment, it's just like, oh my gosh, things like that cause people like me to just want to leave because I'm tired of fighting the fight.
Yeah.
The thing is with me now, I'm like, oh no, I'm digging my heels in and I'm going to fight because I want to make it better for my XO who's going to be there a lot longer than I am. And at some point, we have to start calling this bullshit out and trying to do what we can to change it. And that's what I've dug my heels in to try to do. So when I do meet the adversity and things like that today, I'm like, let's bring it. Let's go. Let's dance. And because I'm not going to let them get the best of me.
I love it. It's, you know, I'm going to hit it right off the bat because, man, we're already running with this. So where did this come from? Where did this drive and to be an advocate for others, because you're so passionate about it, you speak so strongly about it, and that's what I love about you, is because every time I hear you speak, I think for a lot of us, like you said, it resonates a lot, and you see it more often than not. But did something in your history in the fire service happen with you that made you just say, you know what, I ain't going to take this shit anymore. I'm going to stand up, I'm going to speak, and you're going to hear me? Did something like that, did something trigger you, or something happen? You say, you know what, I'm never going to be a victim again.
Well, I believe it's a combination of things, and it's went through time. Like when I say 40 years in the fire service, I look at that as a minimum of 40 scars that I have been through, because I've been through things that I should have never had to gone through in the fire service, but I did. And now at the time, it did weaken me. It made, you know, I was white knuckled at one point coming to work. I just wanted to do 20 and out. I didn't love the fire service anymore. It was just, it was as a hassle. It was a fight. It was everything that you didn't want it to be. And when I go out and teach my classes, this is what I teach. I teach that, you know, the pyramid and what we work under, the organizational structure that we're under is the shape of a pyramid. And there's just a few people at the top, but the majority of people are at the bottom. And then I ask the audience, you know, some of these people are negative naysayers. They're the ones that you hand a $100 bill to, and they're going to complain it's not 200 instead of saying thank you and going on about their way. These are the ones that sit around the table and bitch and bellyache about every single thing that's wrong in the fire service. Well, when I ask the audience, what do you think that percentage is? Because I believe the majority of people in the fire service are good people and they know how good we have it, but there's a subset, the minority, that don't. What does that look like? And the overwhelmingly answer that I'm given is the 10%. So I say, all right, well, if you're the 10%, you got to fix yourself. Nobody can fix you. You have to fix yourself. But if you're not the 10%, that means you're the 90%. Then 90% has to take away the audience of the 10, and that will stop spreading the cancer through the organization. What we refer to the 90% as a silent majority. And when I go out and speak, I'm trying to get the silent majority to quit being silent and stand up and take back the organizations from these negative naysayers that need to be punched right in the mouth and a foot right up their ass is about as far as it can freaking go. Now, there is mental health out here, and there might be a reason mentally that the 10% are where they're at. But I think the majority of the 10% are nothing more than spoiled, rotten little brats that's never been with a strong enough officer for that officer to put a foot right square in their ass and say, not today, honey. Not on my engine, not on my ladder, not in my firehouse, not in my battalion. Are you going to continue to act like a turd? Because I'm going to put a stop to it. Now, that being said, let me circle back to your question. What motivated me? Here it is. The first half of my career, I was the 10%. The second half of my career, I've now rose out of that 10%, had an attitude adjustment up here and a mind shift, and put things in perspective for what it is instead of being beat down to be the victim and say, oh no, I'm not going to be a victim anymore. You're not going to steal my joy. I don't care what comes against me. That's why I'm so passionate when I go out and teach, because I know what it's like to be beat down. I know what it's like to give up hope that anything's going to change. And then I started figuring out what I could change personally. But we, as firefighters, I believe are taught and conditioned to believe that we don't count at the bottom of the organization because all the power rises at the top. We're also conditioned to believe and paint everything as on the fire chief and the administration. Don't get me wrong, they are a part of the problem as well. But we can't say it's solely on them, because the people at the top come from the people at the bottom. So don't start crying now when you allowed that bullshit to happen and they finally rose up and got to the top, and now you're going to cry about it because you allowed it. And that's where I'm saying we can stand together and we can stop it. And it might take a few years for us to weed out this bullshit of people getting promoted that shouldn't have. But if we start, we ain't got a damn thing to lose by trying. And that's what drives me every single day to go out and say, take care of your people. It's time that we get each other's backs, but we have to understand fundamentally where the problem is. And we are all conditioned to believe that problem is sitting at the top of the organization, and it's not. And I rip the band aid off and I say, here's the problem. When we come in and we throw our brothers and sisters under the bus every day and we
Mm-hmm.
stab each other in the back, we go out here and we serve the customers on the street, and we're there to be the problem solvers of whatever they're going through, but then we run from our own problems. We're all adults, but we don't act like it. So I think that somebody ought to walk in the firehouse with a big paddle and start wailing away on these suckers, and they will absolutely change the fire service because we have no accountability anymore. And the reason that I went through the things that I went through, now that I look back at it, because we had no leadership. We had no bosses with balls that would stand up and put a stop to it because they didn't know how. Not everybody that got promoted is bad, but I
Yeah,
believe it's a fundamental training issue.
man. Man, I'll quote Corley more on that one. Mic drop. Like, that was just awesome. All of it. Like, we can end the show now.
Yeah.
That was perfect. But here's a question: is why? And I don't know if I don't expect it's a hard question, but why do you think people are stabbing each other in the back? Why is this like the selfish attitude happening? Because I've experienced it myself, where I think I could trust somebody, and yeah, I'm complaining because bad things happen to me, and I thought I could rely on my fellow brothers to vent. We just have a conversation, and hey, this is the issues I'm having. Just need to vent to you, and then they go and run to the chief, and the chief comes back to me and goes, "Hey, so and so just told me you're complaining about me." Like, where do you think that comes from? Is just trying to get a leg up so that way they can get under the favor of that toxic chief? Because as we all know, it feels a lot better to be under the wing of that dragon, than be the enemy of it. So do you think that's part of it?
That's what politics are, is it not? That
Yes, it
is
is.
literally
Yes,
the
ma'am.
heart of the politics. Is that right there? When you start playing, when you start playing in those games, they're going to come back and bite you.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe behavior is 100% contagious. And that is the stuff that we're spreading in the firehouse that we've got to be cognitively aware of and put a stop to it. And the only way we can stop it is to recognize it and understand the part that each one of us play in that. And we can only handle ourselves. That's it. We got to understand what's in our control, what's not in our control. And what is in our control is our own attitude, actions, and behaviors. And when we figure out we are all part of the problem, but we are all part of the solution as well. And we take it one person at a time to say, you know what? I'm not going to come in and throw my brothers and sisters under the bus anymore, or stab them in the back. I'm going to come in and I'm going to do better. I'm going to be better today, show up better today than I showed up last day. And I'm here to get each other's backs. And I want to lift my brothers and sisters up. I want to champion for them, not throw them down. And I think that that's where the ego comes in when we're young and dumb and you don't understand. When I was young, I thought leadership was a destination I was going to arrive at one day if I just took enough leadership classes.
Mm.
Leadership has nothing to do with that. And it's like how you act every single day. And it's like we're missing it because it's how we come in. If you truly come in with the right mindset and the right heart, you're not worried about throwing anybody under the bus. You're actually putting a hand out and trying to lift them up to you.
Yeah.
And there's people that need corrected and stuff, but there's also a subset of people that would absolutely sell their own mother to get into that administration. And that is just sad, but it's part of it. It's part of every organization. People want to, they want to rise to the top without earning it and things. And those are the ones that don't make the best leaders, is the ones that actually want it. It's the ones that don't want it that actually make the best leaders. It's kind of like a promotional process. You can you can be great at the books and a test taker, but that doesn't mean you're going to be the best officer. We want the ones that take care of their people.
Yep. I love it because that's definitely the thing I keep preaching is that you can have all the certifications in the world, But if you're an asshole, you're just going to be the smartest asshole in the room with all those certifications and education. It's not going to change who you are. And I believe that leadership is honestly is a trait that you have to be a good person, to be like throw leadership out the window, just to be a good person and
Yeah.
and to show that to your crew. Leadership is just a title, but being a good person and doing the right thing, that's a trait you have. You know, you can go, like you said, you can take all the classes you want, you get the leadership title, but you're still a prick to people. But if you're actually, like you said, kind of that reluctant leader, those are the ones who actually still care about the crew because they want to be with them. They want to sit with them in the truck. They want to work hard. They don't want the responsibility because it tears them away from their crew. And those are the ones that really are down to earth and get the message, and they're just good people, and they want to just be there for them. But you can still be there for them as, like you in your book, the informal leader. And so you have your writings about the informal leader. And can you just go a little bit more on that?
Well, I don't have a book for
I'm
one.
sorry, I meant
I'm
your
lucky if I.
article.
Oh yeah, I've got a couple articles I wrote, but I haven't got anywhere near a book yet because I ain't got enough time in the day to write an article. But you're right. And the strongest, so there's formal and there's informal leaders, and we know the strongest of those two is the informal leader. And why? Because they build a relationship of trust. And so it's not, that's why leadership isn't connected to a title. And to your point about the certifications, you know, when I got in the fire service, I wanted to be the best that I could be. And in the state of Indiana at the time, there was the old master certifications, and I believe there was probably 10 or 12 of them. I set out a goal, a personal goal, that I wanted every one of those certification and another 100 fire service certifications. Now, this was back in the late 80s, early 90s when you didn't have the explosion of conferences like you have today. You
Correct.
didn't have online universities or anything, but that's how driven I was. And then I took every certification, every class that I could ever take, I could get my hands on. Back then, the only thing there was in fire science was an associate's degree. And if you wanted a bachelor's, you had to go to Cincinnati or Oklahoma. There
Oh, okay.
wasn't like it is today. That was the two primary bachelor programs. You never heard of a master and doctorate back then in the fire service because it hadn't risen to that level yet. So I went and I took my associates and bachelor's and master's, and then eventually I got a doctorate degree. And you're right. You're all the certifications and degrees that you have is only worth the excuse me, the piece of paper that they're written on. What matters with all that training and education and what you do with it to better somebody else. It's not about you, it's about everybody else. That's what the informal leader knows, and why they're informal is because the people have put them on a pedestal of influence because of how that person treats them. And that's where the formal leaders don't understand, because if they don't have a mentor in there and they're like, well, I'm the officer, I have to have all the answers, I have to do this and this and this, I'm the one that makes the decisions, get over yourself. You
Mm-hmm.
do say, pick me, I want to be in a leadership position, I want to be an officer, but you're there for the growth and development of every single person around you. But we have an industry that believes, has led us all to believe, the higher you go and the more time you have on, the less training and education you actually take. And man, we got that wrong. And then you have officers that sit out here that say, if the department doesn't send me and they don't pay for it, give me overtime, then by God, I'm not going to do it. And we
Yep.
want to know what's wrong with the fire service when you have people in leadership positions with that freaking attitude right there. But yet they want the bonus. But you know, and I hope every fire department goes out here and educates their people, but that's not reality based on the budget. And I'm like, go out and train yourself. How about that? Where
Yeah.
else could you make the money that we make, the benefits that we get, and only have a high school diploma? And you don't think that you should go out and educate yourself on how to build a team or be a coach or be a mentor because you're so engrossed with yourself. That's the problem when people talk like that. And here's the thing, Michael, I was one of those people. I said those things. So everything that I go out and speak about, I literally speak from experience of going down that road and then figuring out that all I was doing was hitting a dead end, dead end, dead end, dead end. And when I was young, sure, I would say man, it'd be cool one day to be a fire chief, have your own fire department, be in charge, be able to make all the decisions. And then as I got older, I was like, oh, hell no. I don't want anything to do with being a fire chief, you know?
Yeah.
I bless the people that are there in the office and doing so. But I tell people all the time, I'm like, they offer, when I go around the country, they're like, hey, we got a fire chief's position. We're going to call you. We want you to apply. I'm like, geez, thanks for thinking that I could make that kind of material, but I'm not. But then I have to ask, why would I go in there and bust my ass day in and day out to make that department better for every one of you to say what a piece of shit I am because I'm in the admin? And
Mm,
that's what we do to each other. Everybody thinks they're the best shift, the best station, the best crew. We fight amongst each other. We fight with the admin. It's us versus them. It's a blame culture. Everybody's blaming everybody else, and everybody's waiting for everybody else to come and save the day. And that's why we're stuck in this vicious cycle of waiting. So it'd be the same fire department as the day you leave as it was the day you walk in, unless you want to change yourself, your attitude, your mindset, your perspective, and start helping every single person around you.
man, I, I love it. You actually just made me think about it. I was having a conversation. We talked about the studying and bettering yourself. I sucked at school. I dropped out at 11th grade. I got my GED, and I didn't care about education. I didn't care about furthering my knowledge and bettering myself. I only wanted to, I didn't have a lot of money growing up. You know, my parents were pretty much broke, and not making excuses, but I needed to get money for myself to buy myself a car, to get myself to work and other places. And I always said, like, oh, education is not really for me. And then I was having a discussion. I was at Bears of the Oath just this past week, and I can't remember who I was talking to. Oh, I was talking to a good friend of mine, Jared. And he said, yeah, you know what, but he did the same thing. Dropped out of school, got his GED. And he says, but look what we're doing now. Think about all the studying you're doing now, all the books that you're reading, all the classes that you're going to better yourself, to educate yourself. And it never dawned on me. And I just like, damn, man, you're right. Like, if you love it enough and you want to better yourself, you don't need your department to push you to do it. If you want to be better and to be better for the people you work with, then you go out and get that education. And my department doesn't pay for anything that I go to. It's usually out of pocket for me because I go to a lot. But I do it because I love it. I do it because I want to be better. Whether it's a hands-on training, educational classes, a presentation, the ones who are doing it is because, like you said, the people who are always complaining, those are the ones that need to go do those things. Those are the ones that need to further themselves, educate themselves. That way, maybe they can stop complaining that it's so bad. Because what I get on a training kick is that when you go outside your own area code, you talk to other people and you do that network and you realize, I don't have it that bad. Like, it's actually pretty good. And you're getting that education. So you're seeing the other side of the world that, you know what, things are actually pretty good. You can start appreciating what your department's doing for you and having a good chief. And I could ask this other questions that I don't, well, an observation I'll ask you if you've seen the same thing is we don't praise the good leaders enough. We have really good chiefs out there. We have great officers out there. But honestly, with the culture that's kind of been around, we see a lot of bashing of chiefs and officers, but we don't see anybody celebrating the good ones. Do you happen to see the same thing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're spot on the money. And the reason that we don't celebrate each other is because of jealousy, insecurity. This is where the toxicity comes from. Comes from what's in here. It's not an organization that's toxic because all an organization is a group of people under the umbrella of an organizational name. It's just a few of the toxic little idiots running around in the organization that's jealous and insecure of everybody else. And that's the way it is with chiefs and people in rank. Like, oh my, you might show me up because you're doing it better and I'm doing it, you know, and that they everybody likes you and they don't like me. They wish I would do it, and then there it goes, and then we have
Mm-hmm.
conflicts and things, and it's like that, and that's what we're supposed to do. It's like, you know, there's another set. Everything that you said is spot on, but also the ones that are out here champion the cause, that fighting the good fight. There's a target on their
Mm-hmm.
back because people want to live in misery. They don't want to see people out here champion. They don't want to see the good stuff. They just want to consistently just bring people down and chop them off at the knees because they don't want to see them excel. And it's like, really? What a sad little life you've got when all you want is the bad things to happen to good people. And then you got these, Dave Rhodes even said something about it recently. He put out a video blog about, keeping in the good fight and the people that have target on their back. And it's just like so incredibly sad because there's a subset of people out there, they make it their life's mission to bring this person down to their
Mm,
level. And a lot of people leave the fire service like that. They just give up. They're like, I'm done. I fought the fight. I can't fight no more. I'm completely wore out. And that's just what fires me up. That, believe me, there's things that happen that I get mad about and I'll, throw a fit in my own little way. But when I go out to my 7 stations, I don't throw a fit with them. I'm the happiest person walking into the fire department every day because I want 7 stations of happy people. I've sinned just the same as everybody else in the fire service. I've done my fair share of throwing people under the bus. I've done, stabbing people in the back. I've done things that I'm not proud of, but I choose to walk away from that and not dwell in the past and go for the future. And there's those people that will not forgive anything. And
hmm
it's like, okay, yeah, I messed up and I got in trouble over it. Can we move on? Oh no, you're a terrible, horrible person. And it's like, get over yourself. Everybody can go to redemption if that's what they want to. And that's what all of us are out here saying. Go
Yes,
redeem
ma'am.
yourself.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
don't have to stay down like that. You can change it around if you want to change it around. And then when people do, nobody else gives them a chance.
I love it. You're absolutely right. The previous culture that I was in, I had like just that. I grew. I had a lot of disdain for leadership. I was just an angry individual because I had a very toxic leader, and I speak openly about it. But
Mhm.
and I was blaming everybody. I was such a miserable person to be around. And I had always said, like, I just wish they would have come up to me and asked me, "Hey, Mike, are you okay?" But I actually understand the reason why they didn't come up to me and ask me is because they were afraid of me lashing out and giving them an attitude and just being like verbally abusive to them, which I never was. But they didn't want to talk to me because I was always complaining. And I remember one day my chief came to me and says, "You need to let it go." I thought that was the worst advice that he could give me because he was a narcissist and that he didn't know how to deal with people. But that was always the thing he would come back at me was, you need to let it go. You need to let it go. You just can't flip that switch and say, okay, man, chief said to let it go. I guess I'm good now. Like, it's growth. It has to come organically. And it
Mhm.
took me to leave that department to finally do it. And I still struggle with it. Like I said, it was like going through detox. And in your journeys and in your writings and meeting all these people and talking, has anyone ever come to you and asked those questions like, hey, how do I leave my department, or what do I do to how to grow out of this? Because for me, it was having to leave that bad atmosphere to become better and more positive.
I haven't actually had people come up asking like how to leave, but I have had a lot of people come up, especially young kids,
Hmm.
that will say, "What do you do when your officer doesn't want to train? When your officer doesn't want to get out of the recliner? When your officer doesn't want to do anything besides hide in their office all day long?" That breaks my heart. It really does when I hear that because I know no matter what that kid does or say, but what am I going to say? They're going to have to live with that.
Yeah,
But I do tell them, I'm like, well, now you got a good example of what not to become. Yeah, it sucks at the moment while you're going through it, but you're going to have plenty of challenges in life that if you stop and learn from that, the bad ones just as you can the good ones, you're going to learn what not to become. And we have
absolutely.
got to start pulling these, to call these people out on it. The thing is, when we have these bad officers, say captains and lieutenants, where's the battalion chief at? And why are they allowing it?
Hmm.
And if it's a battalion chief that's checked out, where the hell's the ops chief at? Why are they allowing it? Everybody has a boss in the fire service, but when one of those layers don't understand the impact of their job because they don't want to do it, it just the whole house of cards comes tumbling down and we're in organizational chaos, which a lot of fire departments are at today.
I
And it's
think it's
just
I'm sorry, I didn't mean
sad.
to cut you off, but
Nope, you're fine.
I think it's because you got my mind going. Because with the bigger departments, there's always somebody else that should be dealing with this problem. If like you said, if the captain's not dealing with it, then the battalion chief should be dealing with it, and the ops chief. But the small departments, because I originally came from a very small one station place, there literally was nobody else to fight for you. So if you go to HR, which was the only person, because if it's the chief's not going to help you, right? Because he's the one that's the problem. So if you go to HR, they just turn right around and go right back to the chief and say, hey, Mike's complaining about you. And then that person comes back to me and goes, Mike, why are you complaining about me? So the people that have reached out to me, they've come from smaller departments, those small town politics, when you don't have anybody to fight for you. So that's the dilemma I'm seeing in some places, is that the same thing you just said. They complain that their officer's not training enough, or their chief is coming down on them, but they literally are stuck because there's literally nowhere to go and they can't talk to anyone else because they're uncomfortable talking to the person who's causing it because it's their chief.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And what's sad is normally those are the ones that's leaving. Like I was just doing a podcast for another individual not too long ago, and he had 18 years on the job and he was leaving the fire service because he couldn't take it anymore. And it broke my heart because you could see this guy was a rock star, but he's tired of dealing with the politics and stuff. And I told him, that's what I'm going after. I'm going after that crap like that makes him want to leave the fire service, because somebody has to stand up against that at some point. And I figured out that now I didn't ever intend to be a speaker or go out here and have a class. It's just something that happened, but then it's growing because I'm out here telling people the truth. I don't go any of my classes say I'm going to tell you what you want to hear. No. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. And yes, why we do leadership training, but we have to walk through the good, the bad, and the ugly before we ever get to feel good training. And the thing is there's too many classes out here that's just a regurgitation of all these publications and leadership books out here that, oh, just go be friends with your people and make people want to come to work and they'll be productive and you want to keep them happy and you want to bullshit. Be a damn parent. Some of your kids need to be loved and hugged. Another set needs a freaking backhand. And you know what? When they disrespect you, backhand their ass. Now, we can't really do that. Can't go around hitting people, but I think people get the gist of stand your ground, because the officers are the ones out here creating the culture. And because they are over the boots on the ground, it is that lowest level. And I think the company officer is the most powerful position on the entire organization, more powerful than any fire chief, because they have the power to walk into a station and tell a 10%er, shut the hell up. And they don't do it. And then what happens when the officer is the 10%? Where's their boss at? What happens when it's the chief? So I tell people all the time, and I honestly believe this, there's some stations that are rock stars and there's some stations that are not. There's some shifts that like to train, there's other shifts that don't. All you got to do is look at the officer, and that will tell you everything that you need to know. And if it's a shift that don't want to train, look at the battalion chief. That's all you have to do. And if we had officers and battalion chiefs that would stand up and start doing the job they signed up for, said, pick me, I want to be a leader. But no, they just want the pay raise. They want the popularity. They want the authority. And these are the people that we don't need in positions, but they gravitate to these positions because we have broken systems. And that's a whole nother class right there. That we need to get better. We're not putting the right people in the right positions, but what are we going to do about it? You know, I'd love to walk into an organization and say, this place is a complete shithole. Let's all throw our badges in and start over. But the reality is it doesn't work like that. So now let's start bringing the truth to the forefront, calling this stuff out that needs to be called out, saying, change your damn attitude. It's not that hard. And if people really are checked out and they don't like the fire service, there's the door.
Yeah.
You chose to walk in it. Choose to walk right out of it, because if not, the rest of us are suffering with your dumb ass. I think we need to start calling each other out, not in a way that's going to cause commotion. I think we need to be able to have candid conversations to say, no, I don't want to work in this environment. I don't want to work with people like you that sit here and shoot their mouth off on how terrible everything is all day long when we really
and do nothing
have
to change it.
The best job in the world, right? Or they think the sun rises and sets in their ass, that they're the best firemen there is in the world. Oh my Lord, you talk about narcissists and egos.
I was just going to ask you about that.
These people take a day off work and then we get a fire and it's like, okay, can we all stop? Somebody get Johnny on the phone, because I don't think the fire's going to go out because they're not here today, or we're not going to be able to extricate this lady out of the car because such and such is Ralph's off today. It's like, get over your damn self. The fires are still going to happen whether you're there or not. Chiefs need to hear that shit too. Guess what? If you prepare your people, you can actually take a day off and know that your people will be just fine without you if you do your job right. Same way with
Mm-hmm.
the officers. And if they don't, guess what? Step up and start doing your damn job. Prepare your people to have confidence. This is
100%.
not that hard of a job. And we just need more people just say, just stop, for God's sakes, and just redirect. And it's just, it's a crying shame that we're allowing this stuff to happen. But I finally got to a point in my career that I call it out, and now I'm seen as a problem child. And it's like, seriously, I'm actually trying to do the job right, but there's people that don't like it because they don't want to be called out. And
That's
right's
the
right
tough
and
part.
wrong's wrong. That's
Mm-hmm.
right. And I say, as long as we do it right, you know what? I don't get my way all the time, but I know when I lay my head down at night that I did every single thing that I could for my people. Then I go to sleep and I get up and I fight again. Whether I get my way or not, I know at least I've tried to have the backs of my people. And that's it. And we need to get each other's backs. We are not doing that. It's all let's who we can step on to make us look better and greater in the eyes of somebody else. And it's like, seriously? The best firemen in the world are the ones that are the most humble people in the world. And you can't be humble and have an ego at the same time. It doesn't work like that.
No, ma'am.
So, but you know what? I had an ego back in the day too, when I had all my certifications and I thought I was the smartest person in the room. And then I wised up and figured out I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to be surrounded by people that are smarter than me because that's going to help me. And there
Yeah.
is absolutely something to that. And people are like, "Oh my God, you're a doctor." You're like, "Yeah, well, it's a mistake." They've said, just give her the damn degree because I couldn't pronounce half the terms. But it's like my battalion didn't even know I was a doctor for 2 years. I didn't go in there and say, "Oh, I'm Dr. Ashby," blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no. If you really truly take a doctoral degree, it teaches you how to get answers for other people, to help others. It's not about you. And you get the ones that are like hell bent on it. It's like they took it for the wrong reasons. They took it for the accolades and things like that. No different than the ranks.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look back, I've been up and down the chain of command. I look back now when I was a young officer, and it makes me sick that the way that all I did was become a sheep, and I did the same thing that I was taught, and I just kept repeating it over and over and over. And when
Yeah.
people treat you bad, you have the opportunity to continue that or to put a stop to it at you.
It's like
And
parenting,
yeah.
right? It's
Hmm.
like if you come from abusive background, you have
Yeah.
alcoholic parents or
Yep.
anything like that, it is a learned trait, and then you start carrying that down, and you have to be very aware that you don't want to be like that. We always say, I don't want to be like my parents. I, for one, don't really want to be like my dad. And
Right.
because he was never around, right? And my step parents, same thing, very abusive people. I never wanted to do that to my kids. And you have to be self-aware. That's the same thing, like you said. You learn from some of the worst bosses out there, and so you remember
Yep.
that feeling. Man, I never want to treat anybody the way that boss treated me. And it's a great life lesson to really sometimes have the shittiest of bosses, so you know exactly how to treat people. If you don't know what leadership is, learn from the shittiest bosses, because that's going to make you a really good leader.
But now we got more people out here on this conference and circuits and speaking and preaching and writing, and we're figuring out that the ones that are the narcissists, the ones that are jealous, they're insecure. They are
Mm-hmm.
not confident at all, and they're trying to hide behind it by trying to go out and pick problems with everybody because they want to be seen to have value. They don't know any other way to have value besides saying, "You're wrong, I'm right, therefore I have value."
Correct.
And that's what it is in their mind, and it's a psychological issue with themselves. But then when you start putting things in perspective and you start seeing it for what it is, I think it's a lot better to choke down at that point and say, "Oh, I get it. Yeah, I get mad at some stupid shit I have to deal with all the time." And I'll make, "Oh, what did you forget? There's idiots in charge that should never got there, because they don't have the training and education that it takes to calm the hell down and actually say, you know what? We're actually proud of what you're doing. Or no, they think everything's a freaking threat, and they're always trying to get a leg up on people. It's kind of like stress. You got people out here that they're like, oh my gosh, distress, 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 distress. Please tell me what human being don't have stress in their
Yeah.
life. Every single one of us has stress. You ain't nobody's, different. But to your point, my dad did hit me. He was abusive. He was an alcoholic, and who took care of him for the last 25 years until he died? I did. Because the one thing he did teach me was that you took care of your family. Even though
Yeah.
he was an abuser and he was a wife beater and the whole 9 yards, yeah, I could have used it as an excuse, but it's just too much that's what it is. That we're making excuses. It's no different than saying the morale's down in our fire department, and who do we blame? We blame the fire chief. Well, guess
Yeah.
what? There's no fire chief in the country that dictates how happy your feet are that day, but you, when your
Hmm.
feet hit the ground. If you're going to blame it on somebody else, all you're doing is making an excuse to not do the tough work to overcome it and move on. There's enough podcasts, there's enough writings and things like that. The thing is, people don't want to help their damn self. And that's where the fire department is at. They don't, we are our own worst enemy instead of helping ourselves.
Absolutely. I love that. You're absolutely right. It really is. It's just keeping like I always said, like give yourself that pep talk. If you're feeling like you're in a mood before you even step your foot into that door of the firehouse, just give yourself that talk, especially if you're an officer. Because I've been witness to it where as soon as the officer comes in and we're all in a good mood, we're in the kitchen and you go, hey, good morning, Lieutenant. And just walks on by and we all look at each other and go, well, we know what kind of day this is going to be. Stay away from him for at least 5 hours. No crew should really have to do that. When you sign up to be an officer, unfortunately, those things you don't get to be anymore. You don't get to be moody, and you don't get to carry your personal problems into the firehouse anymore. And I know some people agree and some people will disagree, but you've now signed up to be more. You've now signed up to be the parent of the crew. And if you're walking in and not having a personal relationship and grunting at people or avoiding them, and like you said, hiding in your office all day, that whole culture now, that whole morale is in the shitter because now they're all talking about you. As soon as you walk into the door and you don't say good morning to them and you ignore them, now they're all talking about you. And they're all going to say, oh shit, avoid that officer at all costs because we don't want it to feel the wrath. That's not the way to start your day, and you're not building good crew morale.
That's exactly right. And I think we need to have candid conversations where we tell each other when we suck.
Yeah.
And there's people that get promoted, they make a better lieutenant than they do a captain, they make a better captain than they do a chief. And like, you ever think about demoting yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's like, well, you can't go around telling anybody that. Why can't I? Because, I demoted myself. I went backwards. It is something that we don't normally do, but sometimes we need to do that to have an awakening over what's really important. And that's where we get stuck and we get lost with people when we don't call it out, when their bosses don't put their foot down and say no. And here's the thing, and I say this, and my fire chief hates it when I say it, but I don't get hardly any support above me at all. And I don't. It is what it is. The reason that I believe that to be true, and it's my opinion, is I'm a woman from a township with a doctorate degree. And there's people that are jealous about that. They're insecure by that. They don't know how to take it. The other thing is, I wasn't raised in a big city fire department. I was raised in a small department. So I still have a small department mentality in a big city fire department.
Yeah.
Totally different than what the big city guys are. So I look at things differently than most people do in that type of organization. And what I'm seeing is, yeah, coming from a small department, like you said earlier, we tend to eat each other's, we eat each other for breakfast.
Yeah.
We know what each other's business is. We make it our business. In a big city department, they could give a shit less. What the hell happens? At headquarters, they come in for each other. So I try to go out and get small organizations to adopt a big city mentality, and they will be happier. In that, and saying all of that, because I don't get the backing above me, does that give me the right not to have the backs of the 15 officers below me? No, it does not. It has to start somewhere, and I expect my officers to have the backs of their people. Now, if I believe, and I do, wholeheartedly believe the officer's the most powerful position on the entire job. I'm the battalion chief. Do you know how important that makes my job? Because now I'm over the most powerful position. I've worked for enough bad officers that I pretty much I've had the whole gamut. Do you think for a second that I'm going to allow that underneath me?
No.
No, absolutely not. I will put their ass in remedial officer training. I will not allow it to happen. Now, you get people in positions and they check out and they don't care. They just collect that paycheck every 2 weeks. They don't care the havoc that goes on. That's why I'm saying when you have a 10%er that's an officer, that next layer ought to be coming out there and knowing exactly what's going on and know their people, know everything, and to be able to start fixing this stuff and saying stop. Because I believe the 10%ers showed their hand early, very early in their career. They just weren't, nobody ever showed them, no, no, no. We don't act like that here. We actually run to the truck when the tones drop. We get on there, we do our job, we do it to the best of our ability, and we don't leave the scene until every inch of hose is off that ground.
Yeah.
That's the things we should be mentoring each other, but instead it's a, in a small department that I was at, it was all a competition. Who was better than who? Who
Yep.
cares? Because when we all get together, then we're the best when we're together. But it's like this whole competition thing. Who can make a better captain? Who can make a better lieutenant? Who gives a shit? How about we just help each other? Help each other
Yeah.
be better.
It's definitely become from what I've seen from when I started, it was all about the bugles. It didn't even matter like what you were doing. It was just literally getting that, like, especially for lieutenant, it was the one bugle, and that meant the world to him. It didn't mean like doing the job and working with the crew, and it meant like, oh, I get to talk on the radio more. Oh, I get to tell everyone I'm a lieutenant. And and you look at it too, is that the requirements for a lot of these departments, you have to have fire officer 1 and fire instructor and fire, or even fire inspector. None of them have it beforehand. They get it when it's time to promote. And I always thought that was amazing, is that like they didn't want to learn those things. They didn't want to learn what a fire officer position was, and they didn't obtain the information. They got the certification as fast as they could so they could get the promotion, but they never learned anything about that course. And I always thought that was, it was such a shame, because there is some good information in those classes, and they didn't really take the time to really absorb it. It was all about just getting as fast as you can and get the certs. So I guess if I was going to be a part of that promotional process, I would actually ask a lot of those guys is, hey, how come you didn't get any of this 5 years ago? Why all of a sudden now, because you want to promote, you got it? Like, I want to hear the real answer. Do you even care about those classes, or are you doing it just to promote? Because usually people are like, yeah, I just do it because I want to get paid, or I did it because I want to promote. And I guess for me as the oral boards, I'm like, then why do I want to promote you now as an officer?
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a lifelong learning, but I have a little different perspective. Now, I travel the country, and I know the majority of states say to be a lieutenant, go get fire officer 1, to be a captain, go get fire officer 2. And I ask people everywhere I go, you went through the class, you got a certificate at the end with your name on it. Please tell me how much a fire officer 1 taught you how to be an officer. And you can hear crickets in the room. That's the problem right there. We're not training our people in what they need to have confidence. We're just skirting them through saying, well, take this class, you're deemed a fire officer. That means you can go be a lieutenant, go through this promotional process. That doesn't make the officer. The officer,
Correct.
and it's so incredibly sad that's why I believe it's a fundamental training issue, that we've got people in charge that don't have the first damn clue what it's like to be in charge, but they just learn from the people that went before them, most of which are also untrained, uneducated, and we've lost the greatest generation, so now we're just pencil whipping shit. People are learning how to be lazy, how to skirt. We work harder at getting out of work than we do just doing it. And we're very good at that as firemen and as human beings. I mean, honestly, and then it's just saying, let's just go kick it in the ass and get it done. No, we want to try to find ways out of it. We want to work less and get paid more. And I always tell people it will never, ever be enough. Your chief can give you a $10,000 pay raise today and it'll feel good. 6 months from now, you're going to want more. It'll never, ever be enough. Now, there's a whole movement going across the country in the last few years. Nothing wrong with it to say, well, we want to get away from 24.48. We want 48.96 so we can be home with our families more. Matter of fact, let's just take that down to 24.72. We don't want 56-hour work weeks. We only want 42-hour work weeks. And if we have happier employees that get to be with their families more, then those employees are going to be more productive. That's
I know where
the
you're going with
theory
this.
behind it anyway. More departments I go to today, and I do organizational problem solving, is 24.72 and 48.96, just the same as 24.48. So one thing I have to tell firemen is it's not the schedule, guys. It's us. It's our mentality. It's the thing between our ears. It's what's causing most of our issues when we're doing just the things that we're talking about, where we're going in and we're challenging each other. Everybody wants to be better. Everybody wants to put each other down. It's just so entirely sad. But look at the society today. You can't agree to disagree. You got to take sides. You got to defriend people. It's like, stop.
Yeah.
For those of us that had siblings, there were times that we got into a fight and knocked down, drag out with our siblings. And in that one moment in time, you hated them. You, matter of fact, if as a kid, you're like, I wish you would die, and it's things like that, as kids say. But then you sit down and you eat dinner at 6 o'clock like a family's supposed to. You get the hell over it.
Yeah.
Nobody's telling anybody else, get over it. Now, obviously, you had somebody that told you to let it go. We do have firemen today that live in the past of what's happened to them in the past. Now, I believe if you're in the fire service long enough, if you're in life, if you live long enough, there are times that you're going to be treated unfairly. There's times that things you're going along and something hits you out of left field, and it's called adversity. And it will absolutely make you stronger if you can get yourself through it. Sorry that it happens to you, but life is not, without some type of turmoil and challenge and things like that. You have got to get over it. You're either going to be a victim or you're going to be a victor.
Yeah.
It's one or the other, right? So there's people that live in the past of what the previous administration's done to them, a previous officer's done to them, and it's like you need to put that skeleton in the closet. You need to lock the door and throw away the key because you cannot embrace the future if you can't let go of the past. And quite frankly, the rest of us are tired of fucking listening to it. Honestly, sorry that happened to you. Get the hell over it. Today's a new day. It don't matter how bad you don't wish it away or you want it to go away. It's not going away. It's called history for a reason. So it's like, what are we doing out here?
I love it.
It's not
man,
hard.
And that's the truth right there. That's like serious, like hardcore truth that a lot of people need to hear, and myself, and I'm glad you said that because it's kind of that kick in the pants you need to hear every now and again of like, hey, all right, we get it. You had some bad shit happen. Now, what do you got? Like, how did you grow from it? And you can't let your past define you, and you have to. It's a great growth tool. It really is. Adversity can really make you a great person, and I truly believe that. It can either make you can again fall in that rut and be a negative person, not let it go, or move on. Like you said, like all right, we get it. You had a past. It's in your closet. You have the key to it, and now what are you going to do with it? It's locked away. Now make yourself a better person, and I really do believe that, and I love that you said that because. I think like, especially I see a lot of writings and posts. Again, I'm just as guilty. I post about it a lot and I talk about it a lot, but that's what you just said is a great kick in my ass to say, all right, stop talking about it, Mike, like move on. There's more to you. And I had a really good mentor tell me that as well. He runs Bears the Oath, and Shane Bentley. He had a really good conversation and said, Mike, there's more to you. You keep talking about this past. And what you're doing is you're giving those people who wronged you a platform. You're giving them free PR. You may not know it, but you're literally giving everything back to them. You're giving the power. So stop talking about that past. Leave it behind. Let's see the new you. We know there's really good things you're doing. Let's see that. And I loved that he had that conversation with me. It's literally the same thing you just said. And I think more people need to hear that. And if you can't let it go, like if you're in that situation, I think honestly, if you're struggling in a department that you're at and it's just not getting better, you can keep complaining. You can try to fix it. And if it's not fixing, you're really trying your hardest to do it, then it might be time to go. Find a new place. And it's not as easy as actually it is easier now, I think, because we're in kind of a deficit of positions being filled because there's more retirements coming up and they're not being able to fill a lot of them. But you have to let some of that go. You got to move on, find a new place. If it's not working where you're at, like I always say, you can mow that grass and see if it's going to grow back. But if you're going to build that bald patch or mow that bald patch in there, maybe it's just time to move on and fertilize a new lawn.
It could be. And I also believe that when people do move on, sometimes it works out, and sometimes the people realize that it doesn't matter where they're at, that we all suffer from the same stuff.
Yeah.
So it really that change has to come from within every one of us and our own attitudes. So I'm saying just be better, come in better every day, be humble, do your job. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Hopefully it will correct itself or some boss will come along. But we need officers to hear this too. We need officers to hear, if you are checked out and you don't want to do your job anymore, then go down to the pension office and sign your papers. I'll even buy you a bottle of bourbon and we'll celebrate your years of service. Thank you. And if you don't want to do that because you can't afford it, that's fine. Option number 2 is to go in any firehouse and take a piece of paper out of the printer. It won't cost you a dime. And write, "Dear Fire Chief, please demote me and put me on the back step so I'm not responsible for anybody but myself." And if you don't want to do the job that you signed up to do, all I'm saying, get the hell out of it and give it to somebody that actually wants to do it, wants to go out and make a team of these people, the growth and development of people. You suck as an officer. Get the hell out.
Yeah.
These officers are the ones that are killing us. I honestly do believe that. It's coming from the officer corps. We have those 10%ers, but then those 10%ers get ranked, Katie, bar the freaking door. And it's like, and then what do? We keep promoting the son of a bitches. Instead of them working for it, we just keep promoting them right up the chain because they may be book smart, but they're street stupid. Or they're so technically competent, but they can't carry a conversation on with a person because they don't understand people. And they don't want to understand people because they're all black and white. And they want to go by the SOGs. Well, listen, we live in the gray out here, and we're not all treated the same. We're not all robots. It's just amazing to me that this is not that hard to do, and there's
No.
people that make it hard. And it's the people in positions. Now, fire chiefs. I don't take up for fire chiefs. Like I said, they're part of the problem as well. But guess what? If you think for a second that just wait for another fire chief to come in, it's going to save the day, you're going to be waiting your entire career because there's not going to be the savior come in on a white horse that saves the organization because
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
only 1 or 2 people at the top. The majority of the organization's at the bottom. Until you fix the bottom, you're never going to fix the freaking top. That's
Yes.
why I'm very hopeful today that if there's enough of us that fix the bottom, we'll eventually fix and weed out the people that should have never got promoted because now we're going to start taking these kids from around the neck and say, stop. You don't act like that today. This is how you act when you're on my apparatus. If we had more of that, we would curve the people when they started to go down that wrong road. We'd be able to change their trajectory. We might not be able to save 100% of them, but I'm telling you, we can make a hell of an impact, and we can make an impact in the fire service because I absolutely believe you can spread the passion just as much as we can spread the cancer. It's just easier for us to spread the cancer. So this is one thing I say in the classes that I teach. If a fire chief comes out with a policy today and you don't like that policy, does anything at all prevent you from writing down how you would change it and send it right back up the chain of command? Nope,
No.
nothing. But what's easier to do? Bitch about it. We're just going to bitch and raise hell because that's the easiest thing to do. But now let's put the shoe on the other foot and say, you're the fire chief. You put out a policy and some of your people don't like it and they got a better way to make it better. Would you want to hear it? Hell
No.
yeah, you'd want to. You see how it happens on both sides. That's where the us versus them. Well, we need a culture of accountability, not a blame game culture. You cannot have accountability when you blame each other for everything. And that's what we're
I love
doing.
it.
Now, I've never been in the administration. 35 of my career years, I've never been in the admin. I do not, I want everybody to know that, especially people in the admin, because we look at life through 2 different sets of lenses. The thing is I used to say they forgot where they came from. And I believe that not to be entirely true today. I believe you get 1 or 2 people that gravitate up and they find out very quickly when they get there that this is not a Monday through Friday 8 to 5 job. They don't end at 8 hours a day. These guys are putting in 10, 12, 14, 16-hour days. It's not 5 days a week. It's 6, 7, 8 days a week. They're always tethered to a cell phone. There's always a problem. They can't ever shut it off, and they can't ever get away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think, because there's just a few of them running a multi-million-dollar organization typically, that they do the job of 10 to 12 people, because that's all we have. That's politics, right? That's the
Yeah.
government for you. Well, they get so entirely busy that when that relationship grows apart, the trust goes down, the toxicity goes up. It's all relative. And I tell fire chiefs across this country when I'm presenting to them, you guys have got to listen to me when I tell you you'll never be caught up. You're never going to come in on Monday and say, well, I don't have anything to do today. So you have to make time for your people, because you have to have that relationship of trust. Same thing as officers. Officers don't go in there and tell your crew what to do and then turn around and walk away. What in the hell is wrong with that? Like, duh, like, really? Did you fall and hit your head if you think that's the way you're supposed to govern today? Like, seriously? And then you wonder why nobody respects your ass?
Right.
It's like, give me a break. We got to start taking care of our people. And I hear it all the time. Well, how do you lead? Oh, we lead by example. Well, what does that mean? I wouldn't ask my guys to do anything I wouldn't do. That's the standard responses. But what does that mean when you're a lazy load and you don't
Mm-hmm.
ask your people to do anything? Does that mean you're a leader because you're not going to ask your guys to do anything because you don't want to do anything? So
Yeah.
we really got to start looking at the definitions and what we think we're throwing out there, and we're just regurgitating what other people saying. Are you actually walking the walk and saying, I am out here to make, my job every single day that I walk through the doors at my fire department is to work for my 15 officers. Their job is to work for their people. Their people's job is to serve the customer on the street. And
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly believe that. I wish people would work for me above me, but it doesn't work that way. They think I work for them. And it's just like, okay, well, they missed that part of school.
Yeah.
And this school comes to experience and walking through, and the older you get, you realize what's really important in life, and it's not the material things. It's the relationships with people, how you left them, how you made them feel, did you make them better? Look at some of the great firefighters today, the ones of yesteryear. They made people better in their wake, and then we put them
Yes.
on a pedestal. Look at Bill Guston.
Yes, ma'am.
Do I need to say any more than that?
No, ma'am.
He went out and made people better. And look how he's enshrined, even in his death, because of the way he made people feel. He didn't go out
Absolutely.
and humiliate them. He didn't go out to be the smartest person in the room, and he probably was the smartest person in the entire room. But he never came off that way. He was always there to learn,
Mm-hmm.
and to give back to everybody else.
And talk about learning real quick. We talk about classes and the fire officer classes, but to help officers, whether preparing or within their current status, are there any good classes really to, not necessarily a leadership class, but should they maybe take something other than leadership classes? Because they all get the certification and they have it on the back of their wall and it shows that they're a leader because it said so on the certificate, right? But is there any kind of people classes that could teach other people how to be good people?
There are classes that exist out there like that. The problem is very few in the fire service that can bring it down to a level that firemen can actually understand it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not neuroscience and brain science and this science and that science. Firemen don't want to hear that shit. It's like, tell me what I need to know and be done with it. Now, yes, I think we've missed the boat on classes. How about starting out with Management 101? Where's that at? We have leadership, but this is where I believe the academic world today, and you're going to get me going down a path, I'm going to get on a roll here.
All right, let's do it.
What's happened in the last decade and a half has led to the wussification of the American Fire Service, because it's all about leadership. And if you watch the social media driven world, oh, we don't want managers, we want leaders. You manage things, you lead people. Yes, that is true, but you have to have both. You can't just be a leader without any management skills. You can't just be a manager without leadership skills. This is what's wrong with the fire service today. You have to bring them both into balance, because if you have too much management and not enough leadership, you have a bunch of pissed off firemen sitting at the bottom of the organization that are not being heard and they're not being listened to because
Yeah.
nobody gives a shit, right? If you have it the other way and too much leadership and not enough management, guess what? We don't have any accountability because we're too busy making everybody happy and afraid to make anybody sad or mad or anything else. So you have to bring them both into balance. Now, when do you coach? When do you counsel? When do you lay paper on somebody? How do you discipline somebody? We're all given a book when we get promoted. Say there's something in there called progressive discipline. Every single
Hmm.
fire department has it. How's it working out for us? When the number
Yeah.
2 problem is accountability. The number 1 problem is communication. How many classes in effective communication are there out there in the fire service? How many classes on customer service?
Yeah. I was just going to
Bernasini
ask
wrote a
that.
book 35
Yeah.
years ago on customer service. Where's it at today? Who's out here teaching that? Who's
Yeah.
teaching the management 101 classes that, like when you run into a 10%er, you could be the best servant leader in the world. And when you run into a 10%er, what are you going to do, servant leader? Drop to your knees and wash their feet when they say screw you? No, you're going to turn your hat around. You're going to become a manager and say, now you're going to do it because I told you you're going to do it. That's what's called authority. But we mistreat authority as something that has a negative connotation to it. Where's the classes in decision making, problem solving, critical thinking? Where's conflict management? Anytime you put human beings in a box, you're going to have conflict. Where's the
Yes.
conflict management classes at? There isn't any. So, to your point, that's where I see the problem in the fire service. It's like project team management. Let me just say that really quick. Where's the classes in project team management in the fire service? You know what that
Yeah.
is? That's called committees. So anybody that goes in administration, they want our input on the street. They say, just go form a committee. And then you're young and dumb and you jump on the committee like your voice actually matters. And you
Yeah.
find out that the highest ranking person gets what they want and the rest of it is smoke and mirrors. And then guess what? You don't join on any more committees. Just go buy what you want to buy. You're going to anyway.
Yeah.
How much training have we had in how to work in a project team? Zero.
Yeah.
And we want to know why they fail. Where's the training in how to run an effective meeting?
It's a great question. It's a great point.
There's not,
Absolutely.
right? So we go to these meetings, these unproductive employee gatherings, and they vomit everything in the middle of the table, and everybody's sitting there looking at each other. And we get up and we leave, and we come back every month and do the same damn thing. Well, this is a difference in the fire service and Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is one of the most successful fast food restaurants out there today. Guess what? They're only open 6 days a week, not 7. They're making billions of dollars and they're opening up thousands of stores. And everything in a Chick-fil-A restaurant has to run like a well-oiled machine. The person in the lobby, to the person on the cash register, to the person making the fries, to the person making the chicken, to the girls and boys outside that are taking the orders, to having that line all the way around the building, to the kids that are walking the orders to the cars. Everything has to work seamlessly for that Chick-fil-A to be successful. And they have thousands upon thousands of employees. And
Hmm.
they're getting stronger and stronger and stronger. They're a Fortune 100 company. You can't take 30 in a fire department and move it 5 foot down the freaking road. See the
Yeah.
problem? And it's like, really? Because top Fortune 100 companies, they understand the productivity through the people. The fire service doesn't. But where's our organizational leadership classes at? So this is what
Yeah.
I have to get firemen to think and to challenge their mindset. Ever how big your organization is, it is a puzzle. Each person in that organization is a piece of that puzzle. When it all comes together, the puzzle comes together, you're solidified, you can move forward. If people are not part of that, they don't want to back into that piece of the puzzle, now you're going to have holes in your organizational puzzle and you'll never be complete. Therefore, you can't ever go forward. That's the most simplest analogy that I can use in getting people to understand that every single person has to take ownership in that organization. It's not just the top. Everything happens at the bottom. To my point and your point on this education and training, I go around the country and do problem solving. And I'll tell you the top 6 most popular problems: communication, lack of
Hmm.
accountability, lack of direction, lack of good quality policies and procedures, lack of good hands on training, and lack of leadership development for our company officers. And I tell the people are like, did you just come and interview my fire department? No, because it's the same thing everywhere we go.
Yeah.
When are we going to start tackling it? You
Yep.
can lay a piece of paper on a 5-year guy and be successful. Lay the same piece of paper on a 25-year guy, and you might as well add a gas to that fire. It is not going to be successful at all. But
Yeah.
where are we teaching our people on how to deal with seniority when the seniority start acting like turds because they start checking out? We
Hmm.
don't. Where's those classes at? I see this gaping hole. I also see a lot of fire departments out here that are just throwing mud up against the wall to see what sticks. And they're spending thousands of dollars, myself included, to bring me in to teach their people, to talk to their people. And then they'll hire another expert and another expert and another
Yes,
expert
ma'am.
and another speaker. But where is it did they get the return on their investment and move that organization forward? Because I see them just throwing it out there with the best of intentions, but they keep spinning their wheels and they're not moving that organization forward. So, shameless plug, that's what I'm trying to build now under a nonprofit, is to get these speakers and experts together and to say, if we're really truly like-minded, let's show people what it's like to bring a team together that can
Hmm.
actually do this. And then we go out and we do this officer development training every quarter or whatever that fire department, however frequently they want it. And then we start knocking this thing out of the park, because what I want is the day that person gets their badge, when they get promoted, I want them for the rest of their career. Because when those officers start running adrift and they start, it's no different than all of us going to classes and we get all fired up. Now, where are we at 2, 3, 6 months down the road? We start
Yeah.
tanking. And then we got to have things like FDIC to get us back at it again. We got to keep that going. And then we got to keep the officers going and say, nope, stand inside these boundaries and let's go. Because when you start losing your momentum and your drive and your enthusiasm, there goes the organization. And we have to challenge that. But in order to do that, we have to bring the right education and training to these people in a way that they can understand it and understand that their every action has a reaction, good or
Perfect. Yeah.
bad. So every day we walk in the doors, we're mentoring the future, whether we intend to or not. We are mentoring the future lieutenants, the future captains, and the future chiefs. And what are we mentoring them to do? To blame somebody else for every freaking thing that's wrong.
Absolutely. I
Sorry, I
love
got
it.
on a roll.
No, I'm glad. I loved listening to all of it because you just nailed it. The blame shift culture really is apparent, and that, again, like you said, it really is from the top down. And so, with this group that you're developing, is that going to be something relatively soon, or is that in the books for or works for the next year?
It's in the works. It's yeah, we're getting ready to launch and we're coming out. And also I'm going to try very hard to see if we can get the grant funding that's going to go along with it, so we can go to fire departments and do this at a reduced rate so we can have even a bigger impact in the fire service to do this. And that's what it's all about. So yeah, we're getting ready to launch a marketing and ramp up elite public safety, and I'm excited to see what the future holds. But it's absolutely about making the biggest impact we can make. It's not about who's popular and who's this and how much money
Hmm.
can be made. It's truly about the mission. And if we can get the grant side of it going, which I believe we can, it's just going to take some time to get that going, then we can really steamroll across this country and start doing things for the right reason. But it's going to take consistency. It's going to take, we have to be in their face. You can't just go in and do one, splash in the pan and hope that it sticks. Nope. We got to keep coming back. And then we have to design systems of the system to try to correct what's broken out there, because this isn't just a people problem. We
Yeah.
punish people thinking it's a people problem when it's really a systems failure. And so when are we going to start tackling these systems and making those systems better along with the people so that we can push an organization forward and make them, better tomorrow than they were today, and continuing that improvement and that change process. But we got to get people to get out of their own way in order to do that. And we got to get the officers on board.
100%. I think it's great. I could see like a follow up with your classes that you guys looking to do, like maybe like a annual check in or something to see where their progress is and see if they're following the outline that you gave them, so that way they're not
Yeah,
falling back to old
absolutely.
ways.
And just a simple class that I teach is the difference between management and leadership. And a lot of people just don't understand and how the two have to come together in order to be as successful in your supervisory role that you're in. And just simple things like that, and getting people to understand that it's okay to be both, because everybody's out here walking around confused saying, well, I thought I had to be a leader. I didn't want to be a manager. And then what happens when we have the manager that have no people skills? Hey,
Yeah.
dumbass, you need some freaking people skills. Like you got this part down, but now we need to go and soften your ass up and get some sandpaper out, because it ain't about you. It's
Yep.
about what you can do for everybody else,
I love it. So as we're winding down here, we talked early in the lobby, you're going to be at a couple places. You've been traveling around, hitting the road a lot lately. Where can people find you?
Ah, well, I am extremely blessed. I don't even have a business card. Not yet. I finally, my XO made me get a QR code lately so I could put it up on the screen. But literally, most of the conferences I'm at, I forget to even put it on the screen. I can be found on LinkedIn. We're launching a elite public safety LinkedIn site where I'm getting ready to take one. We got two of them by accident, so I got to take one down. We got to get one going. And I'm on LinkedIn under Candice Ashby. I'm on Facebook as well, and under my personal page, and then I also have an elite public safety page as well. I'm at a lot of conferences across this country, and from the conferences, I get more conferences and more places that are bringing me in. It just shocks me today that when I go somewhere, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're Candy Ashby." I'm like, "You know who I am? I've done nothing special in my life." I'm like, it amazes me that people know who I am. But when I do go out and talk, I am a little rougher than what typical instructors are. Nothing to
Yeah.
say that they're wrong in any means. I wanted to be more professional, but when I start talking, I literally feel like I'm sitting at a kitchen table and having an ass kicking contest with my brothers and sisters and saying, we've got to do better, guys. This is on us. Quit waiting
Yes,
on the
man.
admin to do it. We've all got to take and share into this load if we're going to make the fire service better. And I think we're winning. There's more conferences today. There's more people today like yourself. There's more podcasts. It's amazing where I've seen it, the fire service, to where it is today. And we still have a long way to go. But I think more and more of us are jumping on that bandwagon, and we're doing great work, great things. And these books that are out there, that everything. It's just, I didn't have a computer in my hand when I was a
Yeah.
young officer like they do today. So we can find
Yeah.
out just about anything in a nanosecond. And it's amazing the world in which we live in today, but we can't ever stop learning. I learned more today with 35 years on a job than I've ever learned.
Yeah.
But
I love it.
to your point, my email is cashby@elitepublicsafety.com. If anybody wants to send me an email, or like I said, you can look me up on any of the social media stuff, podcasts that are out there. Somebody I'm sure has my phone number, and if there's ever anything that I can do to help anybody. I don't have all the answers in the world by any means. I'm still trying to navigate this and figure it out myself. But I think the more of us that get together, the better that we are.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, one mission, just honestly, just being good to people, and that's literally my message. Is just like you said, it's not that it's not that difficult.
It's not hard.
Just don't be an asshole. And it's not a leadership class, and like I have a small presentation that I give, and it hits on that. Like I give a presentation about toxic leadership and performance anxiety, because we talked about it. I think those two go hand in hand. If you're a toxic leader and you're aggressive towards your guys and you're not letting them learn or fail, they're going to have all this anxiety and they're going to fail in their performances. But if you're like coaching them and supporting them, they're going to succeed. They might fail, but at least they won't be afraid to fail. And it's not that difficult. Just coach them and help them. Like honestly, like my motto is just be a coach. But that's the best way we can bring them up, is just be a coach to each other. And you want your kids to have a good coach, you know, you want your crew to have a good coach. So I love your message. I think that's why people want to hear from you, is because you are no holds barred. You are like, you're just right there telling people what they need to hear. And honestly, for me, this whole episode we just recorded, it was something I definitely needed to hear again. And I really appreciate your message. I appreciate what you're doing. And I'm actually looking forward to seeing you at March Mayhem. That's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to see the audience really absorb what you have to say. And I think you'll be at FDIC as well, correct?
I will be at FDIC. I will be at March Mayhem. I'll be at Jimmy Ellis in Pittsburgh area. I'll be at the Metro Atlanta Conference, Orlando Fire Conference. I'll be down there. So yes, it just about, you know, most of the conferences. Some of them I'm not at because I'm so entirely busy. I don't put in during their call for presentations, but I certainly try to. And but yeah, and you could look up, you know, just what we talked about today. But one thing that, to hit your point, is psychological safety. We don't have the psychological safety because people don't understand that they need to create an environment where other people are allowed to speak up, because we shame them, and we don't want nobody wants to be the one that doesn't have the answers. But today I'm like, shit, if somebody asks me something I don't know, I'm like, I don't know. We'll have to go figure it out, you know? And we have too many people out there that they think they have to have all the answers. And it's like, no, you're never going to have all the answers. You're never going to see everything. I don't care how many years you're in the fire service. We just got to stop, and we got to support each other and put our heads together and figure out, man, what I can do and you can do, but what we can do together is absolutely amazing. And that's where places like FDIC come and we group up. Corley Moore with the Vigilantes, you know, we'll look at that group and what they're doing. When everybody gets up and they're like-minded, it's just a force to be reckoned with. And it's really a cool thing to see. And it just fires me up and wants to keep me going. But yeah, I'm to the point now, I ain't gonna take no shit from anybody. I've been through enough of it my whole career, but I'm like, yeah, sit up and let's start doing this the right way. So yeah, thank you so much for your, you know, the opportunity to come on and listen to me rant and rave and ramble on. And
I love it.
I love all the opportunities that I'm given, and people think I'm a little harsh when I speak, but I'm like, yeah, I'm speaking because we need to have more candid conversations, but I need to have a candid conversation with you. And there's some people that can't handle the way that I talk. Sorry if you can't handle it, but maybe that's part of the problem, because nobody can be open and honest with you.
Absolutely.
You know, and we need more of that, because I want people, it doesn't feel good to tell somebody what they did wrong, but how are they ever going to improve if we don't tell them what they did wrong? And we got to start calling this out, state stop. The reason I call it out is because I love you. I love you so much. I want you to get the most out of this job. So thanks a lot, Michael. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. I appreciate you. This is an honor. And you're absolutely right there. I just love that you just said that. I'm hard on you because I love you. You know, I want to see you succeed. And that's really the message for anybody, is that we do it because we care. We're saying the truth because we love you and want you to succeed. And it's been an extreme honor, Chief. I really can't thank you enough for this opportunity. And I just like to talk about, when we talk about mental health as well, I always like to give a shout out to Next Rung, because they're doing great things for a lot of us in the fire service. So if anybody, here's a business card with a barcode on it, Doc. So Next Rung, there's the barcode. So if you're anybody who's watching, please scan that barcode. If you need help, if you need to talk to somebody, Next Rung, they've got their people waiting. They have shifts for you. So if you need to text or call, please reach out to them. I'm going to give you the number, 833-NXT-RUNG. That's 833-698-7864. Text support to speak with a peer support provider. They are, like I said, I can't express enough. They're doing fantastic things. They're helping a lot of people. They will find you someone to talk to. If you don't know if there's a doctor's office nearby, they will work with you and get you an appointment and find you an office. So we need you around. I know things could be tough. If you're working in a place that doesn't support you, it's okay. We can help each other out, but reach out to somebody and talk to them. Don't make a permanent solution of a temporary problem. So with that being said, I love you all. Take care. Be safe. And Doc, say it with me. Nozzle
Tov. Thank you very much.
That was good. What's going on, everybody? This is Mike Goldstein, Stickers of the C.A.N Report. Nozzle Tov, everyone. Got a new sponsor alert. Happy to announce that we have Industrial Protection Services, LLC, or IPS, joining the team, a family-owned provider of firefighting equipment, tools, and service solutions headquartered in Salem, New Hampshire. IPS works with fire departments, municipalities, and industrial teams across New England, helping equip firefighters with the gear they rely on every day. From SCBA and breathing air systems to turnout gear, rescue tools, flashlights, hoses, nozzles, and more. But what really sets IPS apart is their service. Their team provides an on-site support, including SCBA flow testing, hydrostatic testing, compressor maintenance, fit testing, and hands-on training, making sure equipment isn't just purchased, but properly maintained and ready when it matters most. With decades of experience and a strong presence throughout New England, IPS has built a reputation for being more than just a distributor. They're a trusted partner to the departments they serve, focused on keeping crews safe, compliant, and ready for the fire ground. To learn more, visit ipp-ips.com. Nozzle Tov.